All right, Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, QADASH, and double honors to the elders and apostles who rule well and teach well, and salutations to the elect that scattered abroad the four winds of the earth. This video is self-titled, as you can see. This video is entitled, Israelites are not cut from the same cloth. All right, Israelites are not cut from the same cloth. Okay, and what I mean by that is the heathen nations are cut from a different cloth. All right, and I'm going to show you a few perspectives. First, what does cut from the same cloth mean? All right, so the phrase cut from the same cloth carries a symbolic meaning that is derived from a literal interpretation of its words, just as pieces of fabric cut from the same cloth will have similar patterns or qualities. People described as being cut from the same cloth are presumed to share significant characteristics, behaviors, or traits. Okay? All right, so basically the phrase, is used to point out that individuals come from a similar background or upbringing. All right, and there's many different nations on the earth, and there's many different cultures. So obviously, they have they come from a different fashion, right? Cut from a different cloth. All right, so let's use wisdom, right? This idiom, this phrase, cut from the same cloth, it can be actually applied to the wisdom of the scriptures. After all, wisdom is in all things, all right? And the first verse I want to get to is Wisdom of Solomon 7, verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness. Okay, so there's wisdom in understanding the commandments and laws. You get wisdom by following the spirit of the law. And these laws are not carnal. They are not one-dimensional. All right. Not only is it a science behind the law, which science means to know, it is a way, the truth leading to life. It is manifold wisdom when you really read into it. It helps you understand life from different angles and gives discernment on how to reason. Okay. All right, so let's go to Psalms. Psalms 111, verse 10. The fear of YAHAWAH is the beginning of wisdom. The fear of YAHAWAH is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. So you have a better understanding when you do the commandments, when you do his commandments, okay? When you understand the laws, you tap in, you see the similitudes, okay? Because the commandments of the Lord make you more prudent, all right? The Lord has eternal wisdom. The only way to know him is to follow his ways, right? Through YAHAWASHI, okay? And his ways that he established are for your own good, pursuing the Deuteronomy 10 and 13, all right? So when you take a look at prophecy, right, you will understand that there is wisdom in it as well. All right, so there's wisdom in the law and in the prophets. This is Hosea 12 and verse 10. It says, I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. All right, so a similitude is synonymous with an analogy or a parable. All right, in the scriptures, prophets would use different objects or actions, right, as a similitude to show a sign from Yahweh about prophecy that is to come. All right, some examples of that include Ezekiel being told to lay on his side for an extended period of time, when he was told to eat baked bread with dung in it. Another one is Isaiah was told to walk half naked and barefoot. All right, all of these are examples of similitudes and signs. All right, so now we can establish the application of cut from the same cloth. All right, now that we know these things, all right, let's take a look at how another prophet, first let's go to First Kings. Let's take a look at how another prophet, the prophet Ahijah, uses a similitude as a sign from the Lord, specifically relating to, the title of this lesson, cut from the same cloth. So I'm gonna read verse 29. This is First Kings chapter 11, verse 29. It says, and it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they too were alone in the field. All right, so you have Jeroboam and you have the prophet Ahijah. They was in the field. All right, Jeroboam, he has a garment. He has a new garment on, right? And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith Yahweh, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. Okay. So as you can see, there was a garment, right, that was rented, all right, rended in pieces. All right, Israel is likened to a garment, as you can see, a cloth, fabric material. So just as a cloth is rented or torn, so was the kingdom of Israel cut off as a sign of a split between northern and southern kingdom. All right, so Jeroboam, he took 10 pieces. Those are the 10 tribes of Israel. And the son of Solomon, he had the remaining two, which were the two tribes, Judah and Benjamin. Okay. So that example shows that the wisdom of the Lord, shows that the wisdom of the Lord through his prophecies and also through his laws and wisdom is pure. All right. Since now we see that the Lord has likened Israel to clothing, this similitude can be applied to the practicality of the law using wisdom given from the law. All right. So let's go over to the law. This is Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5. It says, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. All right, it says, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. All right, so the laws practically help you apply wisdom to all things, giving understanding to judge all things. He uses nature all around us as a teacher to put things into perspective when you apply the wisdom of the laws in many situations. It is for all intents and purposes so we learn and gain a greater sense of discernment through everyday life experience. All right, let's stay in Deuteronomy and go to chapter 22, verse 11. All right, it says, thou shalt not wear a garment of diverse sorts, as of woolen and linen together. All right, so for all intents and purposes, you can apply this law to a people like Paul, who is to the law a Pharisee. All right, so he was really into the law, right? He used this approach, right, of this law to preach to the church of Corinth. And you read that in 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14, where it says, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness and unrighteousness, and what communion hath light and darkness?" All right, so this is one of many laws that the gospel and the epistles use to apply wisdom of the law to the spirit. All right, so the New Testament and the Old Testament are one, and they agree. All right, let's take a look actually at the science behind mixing wool and linen. All right, now that we know wisdom also is in all things. All right, so this is wool and linen energetic incompatibility. All right, so it says in 2003, Dr. Heidi Yellen conducted a study on the frequencies of fabric. According to Yellen's research, the human body has a signature frequency of 100, and organic cotton is the same, 100. All right, so we see that there are energy signatures everywhere. All right, there's a frequency on everything, right? The study showed that if the number is lower than 100, it puts a strain on the body. A diseased or nearly dead person has a frequency of about 15, and that is where polyester and rayon register. Non-organic cotton registers a signature frequency of about 70. However, if the fabric has a higher frequency, it gives the energy to the body. This is where linen comes in as a super fabric. Its frequency is 5,000. Wool is also 5,000, but when mixed together with linen, the frequencies cancel each other out and fall to 0. In the study, even wearing a wool sweater on top of a linen outfit collapsed the electrical field. This could be explained by the idea that the energy field of wool flows from left to right, while that of the linen flows in the opposite direction from right to left. All right, so they go into, the reason behind the concept, could be the reason behind the concept. And of course, we know due to the wisdom being in all things. All right, so mixing wool and linen together is counterproductive. All right, as we can see. All right, we see that there's a spirit in all things. Every part of creation is lively, even fabrics. They give off energy signatures. Okay, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI is very particular and meticulous in all his creations. Yahweh is far out, all right? He's far out. There are reasons and purposes for things that we cannot and can and cannot see, all right? Even frequencies, waves, vibration, and resonances. The things which are not seen are eternal, pursuant to 2 Corinthians 4 and 18. All right, but let's take a look real quick in Sirach, otherwise known as Ecclesiasticus, chapter 42, verse 21. It says, "He hath garnished the excellent works of his wisdom, and he is from everlasting to everlasting. Unto him may nothing be added, neither can he be diminished, and he hath no need of any counselor. Oh, how desirable are all his works, and that a man may see even to a spark." All right, all these things live and remain forever for all uses, and they are all obedience. It says all things are double one against another, and he hath made nothing imperfect. All right, so the wool and the linen fabrics are double. one against another. They both are very high in frequency and are made good but cancel each other out or cause a short circuit in the electrical field according to the science and knowledge behind it. All right, this understanding is just a minor show of the Lord's infinite works of wisdom. So the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Father are for our own good. He likes things to be holy, set apart in their own glory. And I'm sure there are many other examples of garments that short circuit between different frequencies because his ways are past finding out. His ways are past finding out, like it says in Romans 11:33. So he's the representation of the true definition of far out. All right, let's go back to the law. All right, and all praises to YAHAWASHI for giving us grace, having us in his grace period. You know, we are espoused. That means that we are betrothed. We promised to be a part of the marriage of the Lamb. We haven't gotten into the new covenant yet, by the way. This is Leviticus 19:19. It says, ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let your cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow your field with mingled seed, neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee. All right, so let's go ahead and reap some wisdom from this. All right, so as you can see, Israel is not cut from the same cloth as the other nations. And we know this based on the fact that Yahawah chose Israel to be holy, which means set apart. All right, the practices and customs of the Israelites established by the king, you know, Yahawah, BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, are contrary to the standards and qualities of other cultures. Once the Israelites made an agreement with the Most High Power, they became cut differently as the wisdom of the Lord makes them a great nation with a higher level behavior and characteristic than the other nations, like a higher degree, more godly behaviors and characteristics. So when Israel is mingled among the other nations, they tend to take on the behavior and customs of those other nations, and the holy people, they end up getting defiled. They would walk in heathen fashion instead of their own righteous covering. They start making covenants with those nations instead of enforcing their own laws and setting themselves as the standard order for all intents and purposes. All right, so but actually, if we go to the beginning, this situation that happened in the Garden of Eden is not an isolated incident. All right, so this is Genesis 3:7. It says, in the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. All right, so they sewed, fig leaves together and made themselves aprons. All right, Adam and Eve, they had just, they ate the fruit. All right, they became defiled with sinful nature, and they figuratively put on a covering of the other nations around, and took on to their understanding, in which that fruit corrupted them. All right, so the fig leaves and aprons are actually a similitude to being influenced by the fashion of the perverse heathen families of the earth at that time. You could say those heathen families in comparison were the Canaanites of the earth at that time, and the fig leaves and aprons are the practices and customs of them and their idols. All right, just like how we were promised. It was a promised land coming out of Egypt, and the Canaanites were in the land, and the Lord commanded for the Israelites to basically move them, like basically give them their eviction notice. Okay, so the cloth of the apron is the counterculture of the other families, which is adverse to the sons of God. All right, at that time they weren't called Israelites; they were called the sons of God. So you could say after Adam and Eve bit the fruit of lies, they started biting, the other nation's style. They started biting their style. In verse 8, right here, and they heard the voice of the Lord God coming. They heard the voice of YAHAWAH power walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of YAHAWAH power amongst the trees of the garden. All right, so they were amongst the trees in the garden. Those trees represent the other nations, the other families, right, that they tried to assimilate with. But of course, the sons of God are going to stand out like the Israelites do today as an anomaly. All right, they are not cut from the same cloth as this world. Okay, can you dig it? All right, this is Exodus 11, verse 7. It says, but against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how Yahweh do put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. All right, and this goes for the rest of the world. Okay, rest of the universe. All right, a dog also can represent a heathen as well. All right, so not only was this on a physical level to show that the Lord is dealing with Israel, but on a spiritual level, the children of Israel are a peculiar people that are spiritually inclined and intuitive. All right. So let's keep this in the perspective of a garment mingled with diverse sorts. If we move to Exodus chapter 34, verse 12, it says, take heed to yourself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. It says, lest thou make a covenant, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice. Right. That was verse 15, by the way. I skipped, 2. But basically the law in Leviticus 19 and 19 is practically manifested in the application to this situation by taking the order of something holy and defiling the way from what it was created. All right, you can relate Israel making a covenant with the heathens and whoring after heathen gods to mingling a holy garment of two diverse sorts. All right, when two diverse fabrics are stitched together, it creates a bond as if it is equal in a bonded, in an agreement. All right. So Israel did not take heed and ended up trying to assimilate their customs in a syncretic way. All right. I say syncretic, relating to syncretism. Syncretism is basically the fusion of diverse religious beliefs and practices. All right. So when you try to remix, different religions, practices, beliefs, customs together, that's essentially, what Christianity is today, mixed with a lot of paganism. So it's been stepped on, it's been remixed, to appeal to everybody. Okay. This is against the purity of the holy agreement made with Yahweh. All right, syncretism is against the purity of the holy garment made with Yahweh by Hashem YAHAWASHI. This is also spiritual fornication, spiritual adultery, and many other offenses such as idolatry. All right, let's further go into what happens when they're mingled. All right, 106. This Psalms 106 verse. I'm starting at 34. All right, remember he told them to, when they go into that land, they got to destroy the nations. All right, verse 34 says, they did not destroy the nations concerning whom Yahweh commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works. Okay, so corruption is what happens when you let cattle gender with diverse kinds, when you sow in a field or land with mingled seed, and textile factories, when they mix fabrics all together. You know, Yahweh made everything after their own kind, and when you start mixing and mingling, you're saying his creation is disorderly. You're essentially saying that he needs better counsel. All right, this world justifies doing these mingling of the creation in the name of science, which means to know. So they justify, you know, doing all of these experimental things and having these experimental ideas causing more harm than good to the planet. And the truth of the matter is, really, this world, you know, and currently the world, you know, that is managed by Esau, Edom, he hates order. Okay, and so you'll have a lion and a tiger mixed up together, or a zebra and a donkey, and you know, all of these abominable acts and experiments that they're doing even behind closed doors. You know, you might have seen articles of things washing, these creatures, weird creatures washing up ashore, all right, in different parts of the world on some weird, strange occurrences. You know, those are abominable experiments that they're performing. All right, so this is what happens when Israel is mingled themselves, meaning making agreements to mix customs and practices, trying to marry houses together in the intent to be equal with heathens, becoming one people. All right, they learn their works, right? Or you know, they try to do what is known as syncretism. All right, let's keep going. Verse 36, it says, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yeah, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils. All right, this is what happens when they're mingled among the other nations, like how we are today. It says, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrificed unto idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. All right, so that's just like how in today's time, modern times, this will be considered, you know, abortions. Okay, sacrificing your sons and daughters to devils. All right, verse 39, it says, thus they were defiled with their own works and went a whoring with their own inventions. All right, so all these making marriages to different cloths, right? I'm talking about the heathens, like it breeds corruption, and we have to dead that and cut off from the fashion of this world. All right, because when you join yourself in a covenant with other customs, practices, you know, faith contrary to that of the words of life, you become married and woven with those strange ways. Like Colossians 3:5 says, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. All right, so Yahweh, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI is holy, right? Yahweh in the name of YAHAWASHI is holy, meaning set apart. In his laws, he always divide the clean from the unclean. He stresses division and separation because he is holy. He is set apart. All right, let's go over to 1 Corinthians to see how Paul, he applies the law as well, in the spirit. This is 1 Corinthians 10, verse 20. It says, but I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that ye should have fellowship with devils. Ye cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. Ye cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. All right. He set Israel apart from other nations. You cannot join the house of the Lord in a new everlasting covenant to heathen nations and their customs. All right, this is why in Jeremiah 31 and 31, Hebrews 8 and 8, it all says that the new covenant is with Israel. Okay, Israel, the Israelites, because the portion of Jacob is not like them. All right, there is no one holy like Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. All right. All right, this is Deuteronomy 32, verse 7. It says, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask your father, and he will show you, your elders, and they will tell you. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For Yahweh's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. And the Lord does not change. All right, these verses, they show the division of Israel and the other nations, a cloth with all purpose and intents, not diversified with other fabrics. Like it says in Psalms 4 and 3, but know that the Lord hath set apart him that is godly for himself. All right. So the Lord set the children of Israel to even be his mediators, right? Which is a large office from a reputable name that literally means he exists. Yahawah means he exists. He allowed them to be tapped into his eternal spirit, contrary to the other nations who serve the idols. Right? And that's found in Exodus 19 and 6. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So a kingdom of priests. All right, the whole kingdom is a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. Even in the priesthood, linen is the main material used from the tabernacle to the priestly garments, in which linen, as we have read on that website, is a super fabric, right? Linen has a super high frequency and vibration to it. The coats, the mitre, the breeches, and girdle, which are our priestly garments, all right, they were all linen coverings. Never have their holy linen garments ever been mixed, but they were to remain pure. And you can liken Israel as a priestly linen and liken other nations to synthetic fabrics, which are man-made textiles created from polymers derived from petrochemicals, in which petrochemicals they use in the big pharma companies. All right. Polyester, nylon, acrylic, rayon. All right. All those with low frequencies can be represented as other nations which cannot be in a covenant with the house of Israel. Otherwise, it'll collapse the electrical field, like the like the article said. All right, let's go to Jeremiah real quick. So yeah, it's a rhyme of reason. It's a reason for everything. Jeremiah 10 and verse 16. It says, the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. YAHAWAH of hosts is his name. All right, so as you can see, the portion of Jacob is not like them. All right, the Lord's people are very intuitive, highly bright, vibrant, and lively people, especially in righteousness. Right now, a lot of our people, 2/3 especially, are, excelling in wickedness. All right, but Israelites are in their order, right? We are highly high vibrational people, right? So they are set apart. The Israelites are set apart like linen from wool in the spirit. All right, if you apply it to in the spirit. All right, so the Lord hath made diverse things, but he likes things to be in order, and there is a science behind all his works. In science, if you mix wool and linen together, they do not resonate. Obviously, they do not resonate together because and they cause adverse effects. If you apply this to the people and you understand, the Lord will never bring in another nation to join unto the house of Israel. He may have even scattered Israel, among the nations for breaking the covenant, but at the end of the day, they will be gathered back into one holy garment. Okay. All right, let's go into Isaiah. All right, this is Isaiah 47 and 6. All right, but the Lord said he even polluted his inheritance. All right, when he gave them to the hands of the heathen. So this further proves that mixing a garment with diverse sorts just causes confusion. All right, like freakism and neo pronouns and Pride Month and women leading grown men in abominable diets, the sad diet, mental illness, so on and so forth. Right, old politicians who probably wear Depends, right, running the country. All right, this is Isaiah 47 verse 6. It says, I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into your hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid your yoke. All right, so even since we have been mixed among these other nations, they don't even respect the ancient, like the elderly people, right? They have no respect for the elders, and they oppress them harshly, and they even use brute force. I've seen it, let's go to Amos. And wrap this thing up. This is Amos 9 and verse 8. It says, behold, the eyes of the Lord God, the Most High, are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth, saving that I will not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, said YAHAWAH. All right, for lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. All right, so YAHAWAH is not going to utterly destroy his inheritance. All right, because remember that Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. All All right, he's not going to utterly destroy his own inheritance. All right, and also in agriculture, going back to verse 9 when it talks about sifting. All right, sifting. To sift means to separate grain from chaff and dirt or other unwanted materials, undesirables such as the heathens, which are reputed as nothing to him in accordance with 2nd Esdras 6:57. All right, so he's gonna sift, his holy people from the unwanted undesirables. All right, the heathens. All right, let's move on to the last couple verses, and I'm gonna close it out. It seems like I bring this one out almost every video. All right, that's good though. Ezekiel 37 in verse 21. It says, "And say unto them, thus saith Yahweh the Most High, Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side and bring them into their own land." All right, so we go to 2 Corinthians. Let's go to 2 Corinthians real quick. So he said he's going to take the children of Israel from among the heathen and bring them to their own land. All right, this 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16. "And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, the living power, as God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you." All right, so as you can see, he's going to take his temple away from, these heathen, all right, the other nations, all right, so they won't be defiled among those people. It's going to make them separate. All right. Let's go back to Ezekiel 37, verse 22. It says, "And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all." So when they were divided into two kingdoms, it was a northern and a southern kingdom. The 10 pieces represented Israel, 2 pieces represented Judah. Okay, the tribe of the northern kingdom was Ephraim, and is Ephraim of the northern kingdom, and the chief tribe of the southern kingdom is Judah. All right, but no more. It says no more. They shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. All right, so Yahweh is going to mend the pieces of the garment that was once rent and scattered. He's going to bring them back together into one to make the northern and southern kingdom together as one nation, as one house. All right, there is a time to rend and there's a time to mend, or as Ecclesiastes says, there's a time to rend and a time to sow. And in the NLT, it says a time to tear and a time to mend. All right, so the Lord, he's going to mend the cloth that Israel is cut from back together, especially, in the marriage of the Lamb, okay? That new covenant, which covenant means marriage and agreement. All right, verse 23, it says, neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions, but I will save them out of all their dwelling places wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. So when Yahawah, BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, removes Israel from among these other filthy nations and their customs, he is going to cleanse them, as the understanding of the law makes it imperative and clear to even wash clothing after touching unclean things. And as you know, the holy garment, the holy cloth that is Israel, you know, he's going to cleanse them. All right. He's going to wash them. All right. So going back, circling back to the beginning, you know, the renting of the garment, you know, when Ahijah rented the garment into 12 pieces. All right. The pieces of the garment represents Israel, and they will be mended back together and raised back up again as in the ancient, and raised back up again as in the ancient days. All right, and we actually see that in Amos 9 and verse 11, the restoration of Israel. All right, it says, in that day will I raise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. All right, so the restoration, you know, it's already started in the spirit. All right, but hopefully that was edifying. Lord willing, that was edifying. That's pretty much it right there. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM QADASH. Double honors to the elders and the apostles who rule well and teach well. And also I wanted to, I'm going to recommend some channels from GMS, you know, that I believe that you should follow, because they definitely have edifying prophetic teachings, and doctrine is pure, you know, and you know, I basically learned a lot from them, and you know, it's time to just start pushing even more forward the teachings and the prophecies that's coming to pass, because this is the time, we're in the time of the end. So I'm going to recommend a few channels, maybe even in the comments or in the what do you call it, description box, whatever it is. Shalom.